Record viewership for the USA versus Belgium game. Do we need to fix the pay-to-play system? And new soccer stadium renderings from the United States. Then more on Friday's edition of Morning Kickaround. Hello and welcome to the show. This is Morning Kickaround, the show that dots the map of the ever-changing American soccer landscape. Hope you're doing well. My name's Robert Kerr, local soccer guy into my side. Jason Davis, radio soccer guy. How you feeling?
I'm good. We've reached Friday. The World Cup continues, but obviously the games are very much slower now. There's fewer of them, which I guess makes it a little bit easier to get some sleep and do some other things. And it means American soccer, after the failure of the U.S. men's national team, which I know we'll talk about in some context today. Now that that's happened, we'll get to focus on the rest of American soccer a little bit, Rob, which is always that's our happy place, right?
Yeah, the games definitely yesterday. They come at you more of like a grenade. They have like one bigger impact rather than kind of like the Tommy gun approach that it was the last
Yeah, that's
27
right. That's right.
days or so. But a big show ahead. We have American soccer being weird. We have brand new soccer renderings for a stadium. We're gonna ask some big questions about the pay-to-play model and then talk about the huge viewership for Monday's United States men's national team game. Two things I want to get off my chest before we get into the meat and potatoes. On Thursday nights, as I want to do, I've mentioned this before on the show, I play pickup soccer, and the darndest thing happened in last night's game. During the passage of play, our goalie stepped up and, stepped out of his goal to clear the ball. And there was a turnover, and get this, a defender covered and block the shot. Who knew you could do such a thing and back up the goalie and clear it off the
line? What are we doing here?
Who knew you could do such a thing?
Oh,
clear the ball off the
right.
line. And in the second thing, I got a bit of melancholy in my heart, Jason. It is the season finale for Oakland County FC. And so it's my last day to do play-by-play for my hometown team. So it's a big day, some of my favorite days of the year on the calendar, but it's the last one. And it was a bit of a whimper of a second half of the season. So there's some mixed feelings going on this side of the screen, just throwing it out there. But I did get a call. I'm going to get some more games. I'm going to be calling the UWS playoffs. So I'm excited about that.
I don't know what that is.
The United Women's Soccer.
Okay. The United Women's Soccer. All right, good. All right, that's cool. I like that. Good for you. Happy for Rob Kerr.
Yeah, play-by-play is my favorite thing, and so to continue that, extend my my schedule, it filled my heart with some joy there. But give us some shout to our MK Ultras, our channel members. There's quite a few.
Yeah. Happy Friday, everybody who's in here. Jax is here. Number one. Big celebration for Jax. Hey, can we get a clang the clanger for Jax for being first through the door today? We love that. I don't know.
He's getting a dot today too.
Oh, getting a dot today. Oh, that's even better. Kate's here. Homeless Shoe is here. Armando is here. Kate with a second message. How do you do, fellow kids? Mountain to CFC Dwayne is in the building. I've been wearing that shirt a lot. I really, really like my Mountain to CFC shirt. It's a beautiful, beautiful shirt. Jeff, we were talking about Jeff in Fayetteville, North Carolina. We may need details from Jeff on what he was going on about with stadiums down there in North Kakalaki. All right, and Hicken Time is here. Tim McDuff is in the building. Shout out to Rhode Island and Pawtucket and Rhode Island FC. Let's see. We got Shrimper Steve. We've got Arribas Las Tivas. We've got John Stark. We've got our guy Chris Huey. We've got Cool Will. Who else? Man, am I missing people? Matt's here as well. Shout out to Matt. The Council of Matts gathers once again. All right, I think that's for the moment. I know other ultras will show up. If you want to be greeted every time we do the show, if you want to be number one and get clanged, that sounds weird to say out loud. If you want to
get clanged, is that a new line of MK Ultra T-shirts?
Oh,
get clanged.
We might have to put "get clanged" on a shirt now. If you want to get clanged, become an ultra. It's only a couple bucks a month. You can do it through the YouTube page. become a member, get access to the Discord, which is an incredible conversation, rolling conversation, constant chatter happening over there on the Discord. I know you've been doing hangouts on the Discord, Rob. I need to get into the hangout game. Hopefully I'll get that scheduled here very shortly. Oh, and for anybody that was part of the second run of Morning Kickaround jerseys, I did put some in the mail just the other day. They should be on their way. I'll try to get tracking information. If you are somebody who did buy one from the second run, if you don't have a shirt, basically, if anybody who doesn't have a shirt who knows that they paid for one, please send us a message so I can make sure and double check that yours did go out. I'll leave that there. Thank you.
Yeah, and if any new members haven't got their dot on the map yet, we're going to do that at the end of the show. We got at least 3 to add to our map of members. So put your location on the screen. We'll add you to the map at the end of the show. I think one more thing. We're talking about merch, talking about kits, talking about our new designs possibly coming out. But for now, the MK collection is on sale. So if we could put that code on screen, if you enter that code in at the store, Morning Kickaround shop.fourthwall.com, enter that code that's on the screen for 10% off your entire purchase. All right. All right. Wow, indeed. Wow. We got lots of segments to come. So let's get into Friday's edition of Morning Kickaround. Leading the show with a World Cup topic. So I'll let you guys know that World Cup coverage is brought to you by Oakland County Football Club, celebrating 10 years of summer soccer in Southeast Michigan in 2026. Tickets to tonight's season finale are on sale now. If you're in the area, check out Oakland County FC tonight, taking on Midwest United, and it's a theme night. It is Christmas in July, so there should be some festive fun out there at Royal Oak High School Stadium. All right, the numbers came out. Monday's USA versus Belgium game, the most watched soccer telecast in the United States history. And that's pretty incredible number. And it kind of leads you to the question, does that kind of speak? Some people are disappointed, obviously, in the result. But was that a missed opportunity with such a big captive audience to kind of like push American soccer awareness to another level, or does it already speak to that many people are interested in it, and we should be excited that over 33 million people tuned into an American soccer game?
I prefer. Now, look, if you run into people who know me in real life, maybe my wonderful wife or people that I've known through the years, I do tend to be a planner for the bad thing. Meaning I think of myself as just being practical, right? Like, oh, we got to be ready for the bad thing to happen. So let's have a plan.
Pessimist and practical is very close.
They are very close. And sometimes my wife is like, you're being such a pessimist. I'm like, no, I'm just being practical. When it comes to soccer, I'm much more of a glass half full guy than a glass half empty guy. Because I do think the passage of time is doing the work. Now, we as soccer people, as human beings in the world, can actively push and do things to make soccer's reach deeper and better in this country. And I think obviously the U.S. men's national, the women too, but in this moment it's about the men. The U.S. men's national team winning helps boost the awareness of the game it makes the game fun for people. You want to interact with things that make your life better, and winning is more fun than losing. So of course, if you want to be extremely real life, Jason, and be a bit of a pessimist, then you could say, oh man, this is an opportunity. 46 million people watching. They played like that. Oh my God, we're losing all these people. But man, if I told you, regardless of the result, if I told you before the game, Rob, 46 million people were going to watch the United States men's national team play a World Cup match in this country, you wouldn't have cared. what the result. It wouldn't have mattered. You wouldn't like go, oh well, did they play badly? Will they suck? You would go, oh my God, 46 million people. That's incredible. What a step forward for the game in this country. And that's where I am. That's where I choose to be. Of course, I'm trying to make myself feel better about the fact the U.S. men's national team did play like absolute crap and did embarrass us in front of the world and all the things that we've been working through the last couple of days. But man, that is such a champagne problem to have, don't you think?
Yeah, to a degree, obviously, you have to be glass half full to be excited about that number. And we're being asked about is this a combination of Spanish and Fox? And I do believe it's like the 33 was the average, and then over 40 million was the peak between 9:15 and 9:30. Which, what time did that game kick off? 8
Yeah,
on Monday. So that's
8 o'clock. Yeah.
so people got
Second
to tune
half.
in.
Yeah, second half when it had gone south. Now, look, further context here from my guy Jonathan Tannewald over at the Philadelphia Inquirer. Go to inquirer.com and support Jonathan because he's one of the best soccer journalists we have.
Yeah.
He said a combined total of 45.986 million viewers watched on Fox and Telemundo together. So it was 33 million on Fox and 12.9 million on Telemundo, and this includes streaming and over-the-air television, right? Regular television or cable or whatever. The biggest audience for a television event since Super Bowl 40? Is that what that is? What number of Super Bowl are we on? I don't even know. What's LX? We're at the point in the Roman numerals where I don't know anymore. What is LX?
I think LX was 40.
Okay. Since Super Bowl LX and not too
LX
far
is 60, by the way.
60. Thank you. See, this is why we keep Jenny around, so she can help us out with the Roman numerals. 60. Okay. So that's the most recent one. Anyway, doesn't matter. I thought the L. Wait, X is 10, right? L is 50, X is 10, it's 60. She's right. She's 100% right. And not too far off this year's NFL Conference Championship games. So this is the biggest non-NFL TV broadcast in a decade. If you take NFL out of it, we know NFL's a monster. Right? It's an absolute gargantuan monster. But if you take NFL out of it, the biggest non-NFL TV broadcast in 10 years. That's something we should be happy about. Now, you could obviously go, well, how many of those people are real soccer fans? And how many people are those people going to really stick around? And do they actually, now the U.S. embarrass themselves? How many are going to turn their nose up at the game or be upset and walk away? Man, nearly 50 million people watch a soccer match in America.
What more do you want?
Yeah,
I mean, like a win would have been good, but geez.
I mean, I just have to be happy about that on some level because sports are that's the bargain we make, right? And we talked about this on Wednesday. The bargain we make is that we know our team isn't going to win all the time. We know losses come with the territory. And hopefully, I am wishing this, obviously, but hopefully a lot of those people that watched that game were also people who now we know the numbers weren't as big for the Bosnia game or as big during the group stage, but hopefully a lot of those people had touched down on the U.S. men's national team run and were encouraged by it and excited by it. And yes, the loss came and it was painful and it sucked and they didn't play even halfway up to their potential. But man, 46 million people watch a soccer game in America.
And think about, okay, so what caused the NASL to start? It was when the power brokers that saw that they got a ratings hike from the 1966 and they started a whole league because of that. And then at the same time, I'm thinking of like flashpoints that makes people pay attention en masse. So like there was that, in the beginning of that chapter of American soccer history. And then when the United States men's national team didn't qualify in 2018, how many people engaged with the game on another level? And we all got connected with how the federation is all put together.
Yeah, I mean,
and people got into that. And then now more people are asking more questions and have more curiosity. I think it's just the incremental gains of these flashpoint moments, these big moments in soccer history or, soccer as it's going along. And I think that can only help. Like, even if 20 million of those people walk away and are done, there's going to be, countless people and business interests, power broker people are going to be more interested based on those numbers.
If you go to the capitalist place, yes, that's the thing. There's this knock-on effect of the big number begets more investment, which we think of as ultimately a good, right? And we'll get to that in another topic later on the show. but just also in the way that I talk about the culture of the game in America, right? Now, this is also going to come up in a later conversation that all of our quote unquote problems, all of the deficiencies we see in soccer as fans who want the game to be bigger, better for whatever reason, whether it's just because we want more people around us to like it so we can share it with them, or we want the national team, the U.S. men's national team, to win a World Cup, or whatever our end game is. The question of culture is central to achieving those things, right? And we take for granted, like you are almost, you know how like if you walk into somebody's house, that house will have a smell, but if you ask them if their house has a smell, they probably say no, because you get, you get accustomed to the smell of somebody. And I'm not talking about bad smells, just different ways, different places smell. It's like that for us when it comes to the culture of football and basketball and baseball, particularly. And you could throw hockey in a couple of areas of the country as well. It's just baked in. You don't think about it. You're not out there going, oh, man, I wonder what the culture of American football is in our area. It just is there. You may occasionally remark on it like, oh, man, I can't believe they built a 20,000 seat stadium for the high school team. Like, that may be remarkable to you on some level, but for a lot of people, that's the furniture. And soccer is only just becoming the furniture in a lot of places in this country. It's the furniture in St. Louis. It's the furniture in Southern California in a lot of ways. It's the furniture in a lot of ethnic communities. But it's not the furniture in a general zeitgeisty American sports way. And this number points to it moving in that direction. This number points to the idea that soccer is just here and it's taken for granted that it's something we care about. Now, there will always be, I think, I don't know, probably until I die, there will always be people who, are skeptical or people who engage with it in a cynical way, right? And we were talking about how John Strong on the broadcast, as the United States was fumbling the bag and getting whipped by Belgium, made a plea to people. Hey, please keep watching soccer. Like, don't take this as a reason to walk away from soccer. Now, and he got just ripped by all these sports media types, right? How pathetic was that? Oh, that was ridiculous. I can't believe, oh, that's so sad. John Strong, the broadcast. Oh, this is because obviously they were watching the U.S. get beaten badly. And for them, that goes into that place of, well, we're not very good at this. I'm going to stop caring now so I can separate myself from the embarrassment. I'm not really a soccer fan because if I was really a soccer fan, I would have to engage with being embarrassed by what happened. But I'm not really a soccer fan. I'm just a tourist. I just checked in because I thought I was being told they were good. John Strong is just a soccer fan. He's a soccer person through and through. John started his broadcasting career working in Portland, became the Portland Timbers play-by-play man before moving to Fox. John Strong is a really good soccer person. And so when he says, hey, please keep watching soccer, he's not doing it like, I like my sport. He's doing like, this is amazing. This is an amazing thing. This is an amazing sport. And if you engage with it, your life will get better. And don't let this loss push you away from the game. And so, again, those media types, they'll always exist, Rob. They'll always be ready and willing to crap on soccer the second it doesn't serve their interests anymore, or it looks like it's going to embarrass them or make them feel bad about something. But it's clear 46 million people represents a big step, right?
Yeah, John Strong was doing the opposite of gatekeeping, which in the past soccer fans have been accused of doing. He was opening the barn doors, and like this thing is awesome. More people, like once you bring people into the barn, more people tend to stick around once people give it the time of the day. Final notes on these ratings before we move on. According to Fox, the top local markets watching the Belgium men and versus USA was Kansas City, Boston, and Seattle, followed by Philadelphia. Not a huge surprise with those cities. And then overall, the round of 16, Fox Sports reports that it's been averaging 14.5 million viewers, making it the most watched FIFA World Cup round of 16 in English. And that's up 216% from the World Cup just 4 years ago. So
that's
with that what you will. And before we move on, I'll remind you guys one more time, the World Cup coverage is brought to you by Oakland County Football Club, celebrating 10 years of bleeding purple in Southeast Michigan in 2026. Tickets to tonight's season finale on sale now, oaklandcountyfc.com. It is a theme night. Christmas in July coming to Royal Oak High School Stadium. All right, we're going to come back and ask a big question next up here on Morning Kickaround. All right, earlier on the in the week on Morning Kickaround, you kind of had a bit of a monologue about the conversation following the men's national team loss. The conversation keeps on going towards we need to fix the pay-to-play model, and there's something inherently wrong at what we do with soccer in the United States. So the big question of the day is, what does fix pay-to-play actually mean, and what would it take to do so?
Yeah, this is going to be more of a nuts and bolts conversation, or it's going to be a conceptual conversation about the idea of replacing pay to play. So on Wednesday, and I've actually posted clips of that, my little monologue in other places, and I've seen a reaction, which is, what are you talking about? Absolutely, we lost that game because of pay to play. And again, I want people to understand what I'm saying is, it's not that I think pay to play is good or that we shouldn't work towards undoing the problems inherent in pay to play. It's just to say we lost that particular game for reasons of pay to play is ridiculous to me. Now you can say that performance and the state of the U.S. men's national team is downstream of pay to play if you want to. You can make that argument, even though Serginho Dest and Jedi Robinson and Christian Pulisic went to Dortmund at 16, and Balogun came through the Arsenal Academy, and I could go on and on here.
And there's a touch of German in Weston McKennie, which is one of the.
I mean, look, whatever. He came through the Dallas system, so that's okay. But the point is, like, people get really wrapped up in pay to play as the reason for everything, and it becomes this magical thinking thing where if only we got rid of pay to play, we would be a top level soccer nation. Now, I'm not sure I believe that, but again, it's not that I don't think we should get rid of pay to play if that's even possible. So Henry Bushnell wrote a piece at The Athletic that went up this morning that addresses directly the idea of what is pay to play. Okay, not just like, this concept that people have, because I think, obviously, what do you understand pay to play to be, Rob? What do you understand?
If youth players want to get access to the most competitive teams with the best coaching, they have to pay significant sums to be on the clubs to get those resources.
Okay. And generally speaking, that is exactly right. What Henry outlines is that really the issue isn't necessarily pay to play, although I guess any cost you could argue is bad. It's pay to play and travel where things get really expensive. Right. And this is where people, I think, mostly have an issue, right? The idea that in order to get decent quality competition, to get the right coaching, when you're 15, 16, 17, you're going to have to spend $20,000 a year on elite travel soccer. Right. And that ultimately is a problem. Now let's get to how we would fix pay to play, because you can yell about it, right? You can scream about pay to play being a problem and these costs are exorbitant and I can't believe people have to pay this for their kids to play soccer. You can argue that, but unless you have an idea of how to replace the money in the system, it doesn't matter. You can scream about it all you want. Nothing's changing unless that money is being replaced. So there are two ways for that money to be replaced.
All right.
Number one is a government program, a ministry of sport, a socialist idea of taking money that is collected from taxpayers and other things, tariffs, I don't know, whatever money the government collects, you put a portion of that into a ministry of sport or some other body named such, and then you spend that money to hire coaches and start soccer teams and programs, et cetera, et cetera. That's one way to do it. Now, again, trying not to be super cynical, Rob, do you think such a thing is likely to happen in the United States of America in 2020, whatever?
I don't think that would be necessarily a straightforward process given the current environment we're in, or should it necessarily be a priority given the state of the country?
Sure, I would argue that as well. I would say that before we start spending money on soccer teams, we spend some money on some other stuff, right? Okay, healthcare, other stuff. Okay, that's just me. All right, that's me.
It probably costs a
The
lot of money to pull people out of the ICE detention centers too.
the other way, wow, the other way to replace the money in the system is to have clubs make money off of development in order to pay the coaches and the club. Now, I want people to understand. Now, when I say this, I'm not throwing my hands up and I'm not saying we shouldn't be working towards improving everything. Pay to play will always be here in some form. It will always exist in some form.
And that exists in other countries that we want to model ourselves after too.
Exactly, right?
But there's both. But there's both.
The idea that pay to play can go away is a non-starter. And I think a lot of people do engage with this as in that honest way. Like, okay, yes, you're still going to have elite whatever and coaches who are charging, and there will always be people, particularly wealthy people, willing to pay when they think they are giving their kids a leg up. And this has happened now in baseball and in basketball in major ways over the last quarter of a century or so that have really kind of screwed those sports up, but that's a different discussion for a different day, right? Pay to play, pay for access, pay for travel, pay for showcases, pay to get in front of scouts, pay to get, that's all in there, and it's all mixed up in all of our youth sports, and it's not going away. The in my mind, the only way to get to where we want to be with soccer, which is to say, give more kids access to higher level coaching opportunity or coaching environments and training environments and all those things. The only way to, and it'll never be perfect, and there will always be kids left out, but the way to do it, the only way to do it in my mind, is for there to be many more professional soccer teams with academies.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's it. That's the way. That's as far as I can tell, that's the only way to do this. Now, again, like that's happening already, right? Like MLS academies are free, and there are other teams at other levels. Louisville's got an academy, El Paso's got an academy. Like all these teams now have academies. I don't know, all of them are free, Rob?
And I don't know, I wouldn't say all, like the USL teams, they are trying, and there's some that are doing it, but I wouldn't say that's widespread that all the teams have academies, especially not free ones.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously getting a free academy off the ground, that is about, again, the business of lower division soccer is tough enough, and then we're going to start an academy. Again, where does the money come from to pay for all of the infrastructure we need for an academy? If it's not from the parents, if you're taking the payment element, the money coming in away from the parents, it's got to go somewhere. And again, this idea is let's get academies to develop more players, and when they sell those players or they get training compensation solidarity payments, then that is money into the system, and then there's more access for kids who cannot pay or we shouldn't be asking anybody to pay, right? American Groundhopper, dotting the map, more local clubs cover the map and provide local training. That's it. That's it, baby. That's why our little hashtag is DotTheMap. That's why that is there. And we say that because we like logos and we like stadiums and we like all that stuff. But really, this is about that, right? And it's not just about development for the sake of the national team or something. I mean, that's not my proposition here. My idea is soccer is a good, and opportunities like that are good in a sense. You may run into people, Rob, who would say, well, how far down that road do we go? Because exploitation in academies is a problem in other parts of the world. And do we want to be those people? So, none of this is easy.
No, none of it is easy. And there's quite a few like baked in mechanics that need to change. You touched on the training compensation. That's how a lot of these things are subsidized at a local level, and it changes the system from the parents being a customer to the player being the product, which obviously a teenager being a product has its own gray areas indeed. But that is the
Yeah.
paradigm shift that would have to happen. And then so that's one block is the training
Right.
compensation to
Right.
motivate those things. So there is income for the clubs that's not, just fees from parents. And then also there needs to be kind of a will at the top to subsidize it as well. And who would be like we're really good at pointing out problems, right? It's like, and that's kind of what got your hackles up, is like fix pay to play and we'll be golden, this and that. And it's like, well, it's like the underpants gnomes thing. Viper, cheers, thank you so much for chipping in. But yeah, it's like, where do we go from A to C? Where's the B? Like, so is it the power brokers, like the folks that paid for Pochettino to become the men's national team coach? Is it
Right.
something like
Yeah.
that where they
Yeah.
create some sort of American, like, because we were talking about the government like having a ministry of sport and making a subsidy, or it's probably more likely a private sector thing would be set
Well,
up.
that's capitalism, right? Again, capitalism. Like instead of like, and this is like where people get point to charity. Like, oh, so many people give to charity. They wouldn't have to if we had better safety nets. Whatever. Not going to get into it. Okay. But yeah, that idea of just like with Pochettino's salary, do we just go to some guy who can, as a rounding error, fund an academy or fund a club or fund players getting good coaching? I don't love that as a solution. It's a temporary thing. Now, you could argue it's the startup costs, right? It's sort of like if we inject this money from rich, wealthy individual, billionaire who wants to help American soccer, then down the road things get better and money starts to enter the system in other ways. And I will say there are examples of this. I will put to Richie Graham at the YSC Academy outside of Philadelphia. That is the academy that is now attached and is the Philadelphia Union Academy. And I, years ago, when I was working on a different project, I went up there and visited the academy and talked to Richie Graham. Richie Graham is a guy who grew up with a lot of money, kind of a trust fund kid. He went to a special school for learning how to be an Olympic skier. Like, he went to high school to be an Olympic skier. It's a wild
Hey, can we all
story.
daydream about what that life would be like? I mean,
I don't know. He didn't make it as an Olympic skier, but he went into, finance and essentially. And now and his thing was, we can build soccer players in America if we just have the wherewithal and put the effort in. So he's an example of a person who can do that kind of thing. Now, how many of those people do we need? 100?
like 1 in
1,000?
every state, probably.
I mean, at least, right? But even then, you're talking about pinch points. And that's the other thing. Like, I want people to assuage themselves of the notion that we're ever going to have the net so tight, every single talented soccer player who might be good when they're, showing signs of potential at 7, 8, 9, 10 is going to get caught by the system. That's impossible, right? In a country of 350 million people with the geographic spread we have, it's just not happening. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't get a lot better, right? And I think what I was frustrated by with people bringing up pay to play on Wednesday or Tuesday after the loss and saying that's why we lost the game. Again, you're missing the forest for the trees. We didn't lose that game because of pay to play, but we are not meeting our potential in part because of pay to, among many other things that we've got going on in this country when it comes to soccer, in part because of pay to play. But don't just throw a blanket over the whole system and say that's pay to play. Think about this as things we can chip away at in certain areas. And I don't just mean geographically or whatever, but that's obviously a way to go about it too. But I mean in culturally, right? Breaking apart this notion that the only way for your kid to become a professional soccer player is for you to spend $20,000 a year on them. And I work with a famous soccer person on a daily basis. And you know what he tells me all the time?
What's that?
There are too many not great soccer players paying for their spots in these academies, and that these clubs are not ruthless enough to let them go because mom and dad are paying, and that club wants that money. So he's saying that there's a culture of mediocrity baked in through the very fact that we have kids paying, which that makes a lot of sense. Like, logically, that makes sense. So how do we unpack that? How do we break that apart? How do we get out? How do we get more clubs as a mission statement to say, we're not going to give a kid a spot just because mom and dad are willing to pay. We're not going to promise you're going to get a college scholarship off of being in our club just because it's good for our bottom line.
a lot of the coaches that are involved in the soccer across the United States at all levels tend to have to be more customer service representatives to keep the families of their kids on the teams happy, rather than just basically trying to turn these kids into the best possible players they could be. And that's a whole part of it. And as we're talking through this and the actual like fixing it, so if the subsidizing of academies, that's a big chunk of money that might reduce the possibility of it. But what is the key to progressing, I think, of like actually heightening and making more quality players is maybe instead of subsidizing whole academies, you subsidize the coaching training programs and reducing the access there. So we add more coaches and there's more people spread across the United States that if they do have kids in front of them, they are able to elevate them. If we're not able to at least get the peak,
Well, I also think
we raise the floor.
Coaching education is absolutely part of this. And I know, and I haven't checked on the fees recently, but I know some of the higher level courses through US Soccer cost a lot of money. And people have to invest, and you have to go. Like, you can't do those courses online. You have to go in person to get the highest level courses done. And that requires time and money investment for people who might not have that wherewithal. So again, we have an issue maybe in coaching education, but I also think that people need to remember that, again, when I talked about how American football is the furniture and basketball and baseball are the furniture, we presume a level of confidence or competence, excuse me. There's a level of competence when it comes to volunteer coaches in our other sports that we don't have in soccer, right? This is the age-old problem of like dad coaching the soccer team and reading Soccer for Dummies, right? Like that's still a thing. Don't think that's not a thing because we've been playing MLS for 30 years or because we went to the World Cup in 1990 and had one in 94. We're still dealing with a lot of people in this country who are being exposed to the game for the first time through their kids or their grandkids. And again, like this thing about like, if you ask the average NFL fan how to play football or how to coach, what techniques are, either they played high school or they played Pop Warner or they just know from watching a lot of it, right? And that's the same thing for basketball. And like, watch a British person try to swing a baseball bat. It's hilarious, right? Because
or play basketball.
Or play basketball. They didn't grow up with it. Their body isn't core. But the average American who grew up in this country, I never played organized basketball in my life. It was not my sport. But I can go out and look like I know how to play a little bit of basketball. I certainly look a lot more like I know how to play basketball than any British person out there because it's baked into my culture. It's just always been around. When I go to the park, there's some guys playing basketball. Oh, can I play too? We shoot some hoops, right? We take that for granted. That is only just becoming something with our soccer, right? It's only just becoming a thing that your kid can take a ball and run outside and find 5 other kids to play a game. In a lot of neighborhoods. I mean, in enough neighborhoods that it matters culturally. Obviously, there's been neighborhoods where that's been happening for a long time. But we're only getting to the point now where it kind of feels like it's more universal and ubiquitous. And I think that that's a thing that we cannot cheat. You cannot cheat the institutional knowledge that comes from everybody's dad knowing a little bit about the game. Or mom, for that matter. I mean, mom or dad, it doesn't matter. Like those, and who are the best soccer players we have typically, Rob? Coaches' kids. Coaches' kids are the best soccer players we have. Because
I mean, there's been 3 on the national teams. I mean, in just our memory, we can point out coaches' kids who made it to the top level. But like also to further your point about being part of the furniture in the culture as a whole, in the town that I live in, they got really good, robust like rec soccer programs and all the different sports. And I was the soccer dad in soccer and did a little bit of travel as well. But then once my kids started experimenting with other sports, you see how much other sports are ingrained, because for soccer, it was like, here, come pick up the soccer bag. Here's a little bit of like a piece of information on the basics of soccer. Go have fun. Here's your whistle and your stopwatch. And that's the thing. You go to my town's basketball program and there's high school kids, there's old dads, there's teachers from the high school. There is so many layers. I don't know if they're just strictly volunteers or if they're, I think the high schoolers are getting credit, but it's baked into the town in a way to where it's like soccer's just another thing.
We've all seen Friday Night Lights or, what was the other one with Dawson? He passed away, sadly. That I loved that movie when it came out in the 90s.
Varsity Blues?
Varsity Blues. It's very, very funny movie. Anyway.
I bet you'd think it's very juvenile now if you watch that again.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure I do. They're in high school. They go to a strip club. It's wild. Anyway, there is a culture in that movie that is depicted where the dads are all out watching high school football practice and they all have something to say, right? Because part of it is they played for the team, but imagine that there are places in this country where that can happen in soccer, but it's not universally understood. Like, it may be more intense in Texas when it comes to high school football, but Ohio and Georgia and Florida and California, they are just as passionate about that sport and just as connected to it generationally as Texas is. And that's something that is only just happening in soccer. And again, I'm not saying that this means we can't be better than we've been at the World Cup. Obviously, there are deficiencies in our national team program, in the way we played against Belgium, in the way we identify players, things that can be made better. We can do things better. I just think we need to recognize that full potential is not a thing that can really happen until that culture gets to that level. And what I mean by that is, like, we will probably always be behind countries like France. Probably always. Like, because that's just not like, so what we're saying is we want to be France, but there's really no path to that. Not without switching our sporting culture completely over to soccer. And that's not a thing that's going to happen. So I'm not saying be satisfied. I'm saying push. I just want people to be relatively logical about all of this, right? Because otherwise you're hurting your own enjoyment of the game. Like, that's a thing, Rob. I just think people are undermining their own ability to enjoy this game because they're so angry about everything all the time.
Yeah, the question of can the United States win the World Cup? I think my resource is go watch the French team and see if it seems like we are able to beat that team, because we're going to run into a team like that if we were ever to win the World Cup. And can we overcome that? That's huge. And so this segment is, fixing pay to play. This could be a question for the Ultras. I don't know if this is too tricky of a question to put directly on you, Jason, but of the various different things we're talking about, baking into the culture, subsidizations, whether it be private or governmental, what would be the most realistic thing, the first step from going, that's a problem, and pointing at it, to making the change of these things? What would be the most realistic first step to take to
what's an active thing we can do? Well, if you give me a bunch of money, I can fix a lot of problems.
So it's asking for.
No, it is. So look, money. I just put this on the screen from our guy Eric. Okay, my regular reminder that what you're talking about applies to only a very small percentage of clubs in the country. The vast majority of clubs are local nonprofits that work hard to break even. Like, if I want to sign my 5-year-old, if Tiago and I dribbled the ball to school today, and I asked him if he wants to play, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to play," and I'm like, "Okay," the wheels are turning. Now, there are several elite soccer clubs. He's 5. He doesn't need an elite soccer club yet. But there are several elite soccer clubs in my general area. There are entry level. There's a Boys and Girls Club down the road, maybe 10, 15 minutes from my house. Like, if I sign him up for the Boys and Girls Club, he's going to get an introduction to soccer, right? It's going to be probably a volunteer coach, maybe somebody who has played at some level, high school, or maybe comes from a culture where soccer is much more ingrained, because I live in a very diverse area. And I'll be okay with that. That's fine. And that's what Eric is talking about. That's the vast majority of participatory soccer in America, right? But we do have this thing where we kind of presume that AYSO and those kind of things don't do enough. They're not good enough, right? They're not good enough. When we say pay to play, we don't mean AYS. I mean, you do pay a little bit, obviously, but we don't mean like your local club, the Boys and Girls Club that has a soccer program, right? We're talking about the elite clubs, because that's where the elite coaches are, right? And so if you're going to get good, you need elite coaching. So if you're asking me how to fix it, the first thing is to spread the wealth on coaches, or if we don't have enough of them, again, educate coaches. Because as I talk about these things online, I see a lot of people saying, look, the issue right now for the United States of America isn't the number of kids in the system. We are maxed out on the number. And at this point, because so many kids want to play, we are actually doing, even though, again, certain people might say that mediocre players are taking up spots because their parents are willing to pay, there are enough kids in the system that just from a numbers perspective, we will get more talent. Right? That's going to happen. That is already happening. Whether we want to be upset about Belgium or not, that's already happening. You look at our team and you look at where some of those players came from. A lot of them are dual nationals, but a lot of them are players who grew up here and then took their talent somewhere else. And until MLS is an elite league, one of the best leagues in the world, and the culture is different here, the kids also, of course, they should go at 16, 17, or whenever they can to a European club. Of course they should. If they want to be top-level professionals, if that's their path, of course they should. So, again, it's like, what would I do right now? Spend a bunch of money on giving coaches the ability to get their licenses and get coached to, coach up the coaches, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the first step is, if you're getting the kids in the door, the participation at the youth levels, definitely not the issue. We get
subsidize U.S. soccer so that they can drop the prices for people to get certified and get the licenses needed. Right?
Yeah. I think that's it. That's first step
now,
of many different mechanics that need to change.
I will also say, though, and again, this is capitalism, whatever. I will also say that one of the reasons that the prices exist, the prices are what they are, is because then that is a selection. That is a selection element, right? It's a mechanism for making sure people are serious. Because you don't want somebody who doesn't have to spend a lot of money going through a coaching program, getting a license, when all they're interested in is, just making money for themselves, and they're not actually invested. And I know that's tough, right? Like, how do we select for the right people to be coaches is a thing.
Yeah, a lot to think about, but I'm sure glad we fixed it here today. No more things to go. We solved it all. And Marcus Rose, Soccer Federation license costs vary significantly depending on the level, ranging from $25 for grassroots courses up to $10,000 for a pros license. Yeah, and it only gets to as you move up the list. If you get up to B and A, you have to be selected. You have to almost like apply for that, for the privilege to pay a ton of money. It really is a gate-kept thing. And if you look at the number of coaches in various different countries, places like Spain, they're not seeing it as a revenue generator or a way to gatekeep. Like, they have thousands of coaches in Spain.
Yeah.
They are pushing the ball forward.
Again, that's probably the number one thing, is to raise the number of coaches dramatically. Now, there's also field space issues and facilities, and all these things are part of this. Okay, just to make sure that that's clear, that just because you fix one problem doesn't mean the whole thing is fixed. We still have other issues. And I will say, somebody brought it up earlier, because it's about you. We were talking about youth soccer and the money that's in the system, and that's right now that money is mostly coming from parents. Private equity is investing in youth soccer. Now, I don't know that that's completely new, but we just talked about
investing or stripping.
Well, that we talked about the Homestead project, right? Where Miami FC apparently is going to move to. The reason Miami FC is going to have a stadium available to them is not because Miami FC itself is a value proposition for the people backing the stadium. It's because they want to maximize money off of youth sports and youth soccer specifically in that part of South Florida. So we are in this weird place where private equity, is it good? If that's new money in the system, and if that's new money to help subsidize getting players into better situations, then we can say that's a good, but it's private equity, so you never know. Because it's still capitalism, and what are the incentives in capitalism? It's make as much money as possible.
It sure is. It sure is. In this conversation, definitely just one piece in it, and I definitely want us to follow along to see if people are in fact taking action to do those things, not just being pissed off about it right now and then forgetting about it and then blaming it again in 4 years when we come to the same conclusion at the end of the 2030 World Cup. But we got more segments to come, including 2 different stories, including primates. Wowee. Let's go to soccer under construction next up here on Morning Kickaround. One of our favorite reoccurring subjects here on Morning Kickaround is new stadium renderings, and the projects are being proposed. And we talked earlier in the week about all the activity in Florida. There's already a lot of pro teams and a lot coming down the pipeline. And one of those teams and one of those projects looking to hit the field very soon is Port St. Lucie. And this is on the Atlantic side, north of Miami, quite some way, south of the Space Coast, as we learned earlier in the week as well. And we have new renderings. We have renderings on this project in Port St. Lucie.
So yeah, there is a video here. We're not going to play the audio because I think that's usually what gets us in trouble. But you will see this. Hopefully, we won't have any issues with copyrights and whatever. Point St. Lucie people, leave us alone. I don't know. There are also renderings. But let's watch this video first, Rob, and see what they've got going.
What can we glean from this, huh? Oh, that looks like is that
fireworks.
Real footage?
It's a stage. Oh, somebody's graduating, and then there's a concert with a real band. That's a real band.
That looked like Creed or something.
All right, so there's the renderings. There's the stadium. We're getting a fake drone sort of flyover of the Port St. Lucie facility. There's the logo. We talked about the logo a little bit on the show with the anchor element because it's pirate country, I guess, or just the maritime element. All right, so that is that's the video. It is AI, as Marcus was saying in the chat. A lot of it's AI. There's some stuff in there though that we can look at. Okay, so here's from the Instagram page for Point St. Lucie SC. Still shots. These are still, renderings. They're obviously nothing real here. What do we make of this, Rob, as we look at it here? What stands out to you as we look at these images?
Well, if we look at the image on the right, it seems to be following suit with this USL level design, kind of a U-shape open end for mixed use. And imagine that super rockin' band would go at the end here under the scoreboard. And then it allows the possibility of an expansion to put a bigger stand there. I see Zach saying that's very whelming. But I don't know if we want to get to this, if we want to focus strictly on these renderings, if we want to go into the information that's not necessarily included on the website here.
What information? Oh, well, maybe we'll get to that in a second. I do want to go through the renderings before we. I don't know what information. Did you prep me for extra information? There's extra information?
No, it's the information that's not there is my point.
I'm confused. I'm very confused. What are you saying?
Let's go on. Let's talk renderings.
All right. So first of all, is that score video board? Is that two-sided? Are you going to be able to watch is that okay? That would be wild. All right, here we have like the shopping area, I guess, the team store. It's interesting that they're going, the plants are very, and look, it's Florida, it's lush, I get it, but it kind of gives it I don't know, like it gives it like a kind of a bougie mercado kind of vibe. I don't know if you guys have these in Michigan. They're like popping up everywhere, these sort of indoor, outdoor, shopping areas.
It's the next ghost developments in the next 10, 15 years, probably.
Yeah. Why is there a monkey? Anybody know? Why is there a Port St. Louis monkey with an eye patch? I don't know.
It's a pirate monkey. They're leaning into the pirate miniature golf aesthetic. And, monkeys, that goes hand in hand. Every pirate needs a one-eyed monkey, I guess.
So here we go. You can see some of this on the right. You can see some of the seats below. Again, this sort of like, look, even the concession stands are like
covered in greenery.
Yeah, it's like I'm out at the food hall to watch the soccer game. I mean, I guess it's okay. I'm not saying it's not nice on some level.
It looks cool. I mean, like if it actually turned out to be that. But yeah, a lot of greenery everywhere. There's imagine the plant watering bill they got going on here.
Yeah. Okay. Here we have a bar situation, and this guy, I don't know if he's celebrating a goal, if he's ordering a shot. I don't know what's going on there.
Who says I'm too drunk for another drink? He says. Who are you to cut me off?
They cut me off at the Port St. Lucie game. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, they're not bad. I mean, for that place and that team, if they do build it. Now, you said there's information that's not included on the website. What is that?
Anything about how it's being funded, how it's being built, any sort of like tangible information. It's just kind of like pontifications that this is more of a stadium. It's a living space designed to become part of everyday life in Port St. Lucie, a destination where sports, entertainment, and community come together. And there's really like a whole lot of hardcore information. I take that back. One part of that, there isn't a lot of tangible information, but it does mention that this will be part of the Walton and One development, which is creating an environment where people can spend their entire day together. And it also is taking ticket deposits for a start in 2027, which, according to my calculations, is only like 6 to 9 months away to the start of a USL season. So my skepticism level is high based on, computer generated renderings and video, but not a
Mhm.
lot of like solid IRL sort of information.
Yeah, there is sort of okay, exactly how is this all coming together? Thank you to Wes, by the way, who was pointing out that Port St. Lucie is home to Save the Chimps, one of the largest privately funded chimpanzee sanctuaries. Hence our monkey friend in our renderings, I think. That makes sense. Thank you, Wes. That's good information. That's why the ultras, that's why we do this show live, so you guys can add to the show and give us that kind of stuff. I hope it gets built. I mean, again, just in the general sense that it'd be good for soccer. I always worry about again the motivations behind it. But this is why we talk about DotTheMap. We kind of have to let that part go a little bit. Um,
Which
is
part?
there the part about why and where and sort of like what the incentives are for the people investing in this? Like just like I talked about Homestead, right? If Homestead, Florida is getting a soccer stadium and Miami FC is going to get a soccer stadium that hopefully they can fill up, and that ultimately leads to a better Miami FC and better soccer in that part of Florida, then should I look too closely about why it's happening? Should I be skeptical of the money and where it's coming from and who's spending it? Again, we talked about real estate plays. Like so much of this is about real estate. Is that ultimately a bad thing if it means more soccer teams, if it means more soccer stadiums, if it means the culture improves because people now, and I talk about this a lot, have a place to identify with the soccer team. It is roots in the ground. It's not just this, there's a soccer team where they play down at the high school. No, this is roots in the ground. That's why Detroit is building a soccer stadium so they can be a permanent fixture in the community. Like they've been around long enough that people shouldn't take they should realize DCFC is not going anywhere. But until they get their own building and they control it, and it's their joint, it says Detroit City FC on the side of the building, people are going to go, yeah, I don't know. They might fold next year. So, I'm trying not to be too precious about why this is happening, even though we know some of the background, some of the again the reason it's a lifestyle destination. Is that what it was?
A lifestyle destination that we can share memories and spend the whole day together. And Wes Henderson, one of our dedicated MK Ultras, welcome back into the fold. He says he knows folks involved in this. And yes, any information that you can
Absolutely.
glean about this, we
Absolutely.
would love to know. And to be fair, there has been real world work on this. We know that the city council approved it, and there is one sentence saying that this is privately funded, so there may well be a big money backer pushing for this. And I know that comments on stories are often forgive the terminology, but Karens that like to argue or push back. And because a lot of stories leading up to the World Cup from host people are people like, this is going to be crazy, this is going to be too much in my town, and now those same people are saying, oh, it was a great time, I'm so glad they came. So
Sure.
like I don't know what we've seen. I don't know what the public push for this is, but we'd love to know more. So any information, Wes, you can glean from
Yeah.
this, we
And
would
look,
love to know.
I also recognize that in a lot of these cases, you might have money that is not necessarily soccer first, that their interest in it is the real estate or something else. But there are always good soccer people that get attached to these projects. And that's, obviously we want to acknowledge that there are plenty of soccer people who feel like these things are the right things to get behind. So we're gonna see. Now, I don't think we're done with primates. Do we want to quickly do another primate, Rob?
Yeah, our second soccer primate story, a little bit of sub segment here. American soccer being weird, but this time we go to Fort Wayne, Indiana. And at a recent game, the brand new first year pro side, Fort Wayne FC, unveiled Goalrilla, and this mascot was trapped in a crate, and they busted him out over the 4th of July, I believe. And here he is out in the wild, Goalrilla. How do we feel about that?
Well, I think a marketing firm was involved was involved in it. I think somebody got paid significant amount of money to design Goalrilla. I can
He's a
imagine,
very for a mascot. He's very athletic looking, very athletic.
he looks like, well, there is a gorilla in American sports, right? Isn't the Phoenix Sun mascot one of their mascots? I don't know, that gorilla who used to do the acrobatic dunks probably still does, right? So this is maybe off of that. Our guy Mike Thomas is mentioning that, they like Silverbacks. I don't know if they ever had not a live, whether they had a costumed mascot or not. Anyway, I'm just saying, somebody got paid a lot of money to design this. Good for them. I think it's cool. I don't have any problem with this. Like, I'm not going to be like, this is not what's up. No, come on. Get the kids out, have fun with Goalrilla. This is a byproduct, though, of the fact that American soccer teams don't want to actually give themselves American style sports teams names and want to go Fort Wayne FC. And then they're like, well, what is our mascot going to be? And it can be literally anything. And they chose a gorilla whose skin looks like a soccer ball, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why you said marketing firm, but mascots do open up doors that don't exist without that. The Fort Wayne FC folks can now do like school appearances, photo opportunities, access people that they wouldn't be able to just for whatever reason. People in costumes, like to be able to make believe that there is this like cartoon real life character, it does open up the doors. And OCFC introduced a purple squirrel, Okie Dokie, and the amount of people trying to take photos with him and people genuinely being excited to see a real life cartoon does have an effect for whatever reason. And so I can see why, as a new pro team, and they're trying to get out in the world, I can see why they did this. Unusual, weird, but I can see how this came to be.
Goalrilla, yeah. He better be out there hitting bicycle kicks and stuff. Like,
there is a thing of him doing long snapping with American football, and I was like, that's the wrong football, bro.
Nah, we don't like that. We gotta get him away. Nah, he was born to play our football or play soccer. He shouldn't be doing any of that.
He's not field Goalrilla. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we need to take? Not field Goalrilla. What else are we going to take on today before we get out?
All right. Our last segment, wrapping up our Friday here. Our first, actually, it's the second Friday of July. We've got a few dots to add to the map. One of the things that MK Ultras do, $3.99 a month. You can become an MK Ultra, a channel member where you get priority access to comments on screen. You get access to bonus content and access to the Morning Kickaround Discord server. And a shout out to all our Ultras. Thank you for supporting. And amongst those things, we add you to the map. Not only are we dotting the map of American soccer teams and culture, but also our MK Ultras. And you see our map is filling up nicely. We've been doing this for a while now, and we got most of our Ultras up here, and we have a few more to add here. I do enjoy this because we learn a bit about our membership, where they're at, who they like, who they support, and where they're located across our country and actually across the world. And we have at least a few to add today, and we'll start in West Roxbury, Massachusetts. We got Jax, Jaxs in West Roxbury, Massachusetts.
All right. That you said that's Jax, right? Spell it for me, Rock, because I can't look.
Jaxx. And if we have any of our new members watching live right now, throw your location in the chat and we'll add you to our dotting queue here. The teams.
Happy to add your team. Oh, sorry, Jax has teams. I'm sorry, Rob. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jax has teams. He is Houston Dynamo, Arsenal, and the Revs are the teams he would like to be associated with. And that's a variety. That's quite a few. I'm curious if he moved from Houston up to New England.
The Revs and the Dynamo, those two teams have fought each other in MLS Cup finals. They've played each other in MLS Cup finals. How can you? Never mind. I'm not going to judge. You're just doing your thing. I got you. Okay.
All right, he's not a member, but a avid viewer. Andy saying, "I love a good dad joke or a clever name, but Goalrilla is a simian too far."
Okay.
Oh, Andy, you
All right.
got a quiet head shake there. That didn't go
Those
over
Jack
too well.
saying that those finals between Houston and New England are so long ago. You're right, Jax. They were a very long time ago. That's a
Yeah, I
fair
was gonna
point.
say, like, how many cobwebs you got to clear out from your brain to remember Houston Dynamo being in the MLS Cup final?
Taylor Twellman was still playing soccer. I mean, that's how long ago that was. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
All right, our second dot to add to the map here today on Friday's episode. We are going to the old country, to England, to Barnsley. Mark
Oh,
in
really?
Barnsley.
All right. Let me see if I spell Barnsley correctly. Probably not. There we go. Oh,
One of
look.
the many Bs of the English Championship.
Because I'm in Google Earth now, you can actually see it says Barnsley is a market town in South Yorkshire, England. It is the main settlement of the metropolitan borough of Barnsley and the fourth largest settlement in South Yorkshire. Town's population was recorded as 71,005. I'm going to stop reading now. I don't know that I can dot the map within Google Earth. I think I have to go back to the other screen to do that. So I will put Barnsley in here, and we'll go back to Google Earth and get our facts and all that cool stuff.
We have a little bit of a side conversation going on mentioning Brian Ching, and haven't heard the
There
name
you go.
Brian Ching in a while. What is Brian Ching going up to? I actually loved him back in the day. He was one of the first MLS players I kind of like latched onto.
Yeah,
And a
he
lot
was.
back
I think he still works for the Dynamo Dash organization somewhere. I think he was with the Dash at some point as in an executive function. All right, who's in Barnsley? My apologies, I forget.
Mark is in
Mark.
Barnsley, and his teams are Coventry City and Olympic Lyonnais.
Coventry City. What Olympique Lyonnais, like that. Nope, like that. What is the mascot of Coventry City? I'm curious now. Do we
The
know?
mascot of Coventry? I know their colors, but
Yeah.
I don't know that. And this is just a random sidebar, but there's a Premier League across the USA, and apparently Detroit has been selected for a watch party for Coventry City's first Premier League game, which is confusing. I don't know what the connection. Why? I mean, I think they're maybe testing Detroit for one of those NBC watch party things,
Seagulls.
perhaps.
Seagulls?
Coventry is not near the sea. That'd be wild.
No, that's wild. Why would they be the Seagulls? I don't know where Coventry is. Where is it? Find it for me.
It's
Anyway,
in the middle.
it's in the middle. Okay, Rob the Englishman says it's in the middle. Brighton, aren't they the Seagulls? I think they're
Yeah,
the
the
Seagulls,
Brighton's the
right?
Seagulls for sure.
Yeah. Haji writes at Coventry. Thank you very much, Bar Down Bully. That's who I was trying to remember. We got an American in Coventry City, and that is Sky Blue. They're the Sky Blues, or they was probably just the Sky Blues.
Yeah,
Or they have an
and
elephant. They have an elephant on their badge. Are they the ones with the elephant on their badge?
that's now we're really digging deep. I have to shake off my cobwebs for that, but I got a little bit of a soft spot. My family at one point lived on the block of Coventry's stadium back late 70s,
Whoa.
early 80s. So a little bit of a soft spot.
Wow.
And if you know their journey, they have been way down the English system and have all sorts of stadium issues, and they've bounced around quite a bit, and not a team that I ever would have thought that found form and found their way back up to the Premier League. So kudos to them, and thank you, Mark, for being an MK Ultra. And
Can we clang the clanger? Can we clang the clanger for these people, or is that
we got
allowed?
one more. We can do a
Okay.
I don't know if
We'll do it.
get
Save your
clang.
applause.
Please,
Save your
Mark.
clangs. Save your clangs. All right.
Preemptive
What else?
clang.
What do we
Sorry.
got?
And then we have River Rat Matt up in Flint, Michigan.
Oh, more Michigan. That's what we need. We need more Michiganders in our. We do have a lot of Michiganders. Shout out to Michigan representing. Sorry, a Riverside Rat. Is that what you said?
River Rat Matt.
River Rat Matt. Okay, River Rat like Matt like that, or is it one River Rat?
So we'll get into the teams he supports, and the supporters group for the Flint City Bucks are the River Rats, and that's how that name comes from, because he's an ardent supporter of my in-division rival.
I was gonna say, isn't
Flint
that
City
one of
Bucks.
those teams you hate? Don't you loathe the Flint City Bucks, Rob? Aren't you like, oh, the Bucks vomit? Isn't that what you're saying?
That is a true local rivalry. But in my heart and our supporters, at least, there's a little bit of friction there. But it's hard to say it. It's been a bit of a one-sided on the field, at least. I think we outdrew them. We traveled up to Flint City, and I think we outdrew the River Rats. So I'll take that as a little bit of a grain of salt there. But
all right.
glad to have Matt on board. In addition to the Flint City Bucks, he is a supporter of Chelsea FC and Forge FC.
Forge out of Canada? Is that right? Canada?
I don't know how many other Forges there are.
I think that's the only Forge I know of. And where is the thing about the Canadian Premier League, which I like, but also recognize this is why MLS and NWSL mandate that you put your team name in your or the city name rather in your team name. I don't know where Forge is located.
It's like, where the hell is that? Like Cavalry. I know that's out west because Cavalry in Western Canada.
Isn't that Calgary? Isn't the
Forge is in Hamilton, Ontario?
Hamilton, Ontario. Okay, thank you, producer Jenny. There's Hamilton right there, south of Toronto, of course. You don't say the T, it's Toronto. Okay, thank you very much for that.
And then so Matt's saying his wife's from Hamilton. That's why Forge FC has a soft spot in his heart. And Matt, I don't know if you heard about this, but there's talk of a soccer team coming to the Canadian Premier League in Windsor, just across the border from us in Michigan here. So that would be an interesting development.
Isn't that south of Detroit somehow?
There is definitely a significant portion of Ontario that is south of Detroit, which is an odd geographical note.
Why is Windsor not showing up on my map? Where's Windsor?
It's right across from Detroit. Literally, like if you zoom in on Detroit, it's directly across the bridge.
Oh, this is Windsor. Like that's the south. So that's what I meant. That's south of Detroit, right? Windsor is here. This part, right?
That is the South Detroit from the song. Really, is Windsor.
Oh, why? Because Journey is from Canada, or no? No, that's not right.
No, but there's no such thing as a South Detroit.
There's no such thing as South Detroit. It's Windsor, Ontario, Canada. I got it. That's nice. I didn't know that. All right.
Trying to take a train to anywhere. Trying to train to anywhere.
Yeah. All right. What else? Any other business, or are we good? Are we good?
I think we are good. I don't know if we want to talk about real quick 2 seconds. We got quarterfinals today. We have Spain versus Belgium. Are we rooting for Belgium because they beat us, or we're going Spain to kick their ass?
So Eric Woodalda asked me the same exact question. I said, no, I cannot root for Belgium. I'm sorry. I don't go in for this. The team that beat us, I want them to win the whole thing because that makes us look better or whatever. I can't get myself to that place. I'm going to root for, I like Spain. So that's part of my problem in this particular situation. I don't particularly like Belgium. Maybe because they beat us. Maybe in general, I just don't like Belgium. We can't seem to ever beat them. So no.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, the thought just flew right in one ear out the other. Oh, I'm curious if the Spain coach is taking as much shit for bringing Nico Williams as Jesse Marsh did for bringing Davies along, because the Canadian reporters were saying, like, if he's not available for 99% of the tournament, why is he here? Nico Williams is in the same boat.
Yeah, but the difference is that Nico Williams is not Spain's best player by a mile. So,
true.
They don't have that issue where it's like, if we don't have Nico Williams, we're really in trouble. But Canada, if they don't have Alphonso Davies, they're playing at 75% of themselves because he's such a big factor with his ability. So, I mean, Spain's still alive too, right? If they don't beat Belgium today, there might be an inquest, and De La Fuente might have to answer questions about Nico Williams being on the team. But, Alex Barrera and, they have lots of talent in that team, right?
I loved them in the Euros, though, with Yamal on one side and Nico Williams on the other. They're so dynamic because they got that Spanish pass you to death, but then also be able to be direct with those guys. Yeah. They're incredible. Yeah. And then there's another interesting match, Norway-England tomorrow night, and then at 5:00, and then Argentina, Switzerland wraps up. So all the quarterfinals will be played by the time we are back here on Morning Kickaround on Monday morning. So everybody, hope you enjoy those. Should we have one more clanger Get clanged
do
one
it.
more time because this is an incredible time for soccer. Domestic
clanged.
soccer back in full next week. We're getting clanged left, right, and center. But I think that's a good time to dip on out of here for Friday's edition of Morning Kickaround. So everybody be safe, remain brave, and enjoy your soccer.